Now, I do really love a good parody. Notice how I said good parody, as in a parody that is done well. Which definitely eliminates most of the parodies recently made, except for superhero movie. I actually like superhero movie that was made last year. You know, of course, all the Friedberg and Seltzer movies are terrible. The comebacks also sucked. Scary Movie 4 was alright. But all the scary movies managed to do something impressive, which is actually be a parody slash spoof, takes these recent movies that we're all familiar with, and builds the plot on them. This movie, I expected it to be good because it was originally supposed to come out in February, and they moved it to May, which now it's officially summer movie season, so I thought that was a sign, but nah, it's not that good at all. I'm starting to get really familiar with these jokes and this kind of humor context. You know, like I said, I really love a good parody when it's done well. This movie is just, a lot of the jokes, I just really saw them coming, and just a lot of them are just mean-spirited, and it's like, some people may find them funny, but I just don't find much funny about a baby getting hurt and a vagina beatboxing. It's just mean-spirited. There's just no wit or charm in there. That's what it really needs. And this movie really goes out of its way to reference these movies. Not as bad as the Friedberg and Seltzer movies. You know, in the Friedberg and Seltzer movies, it's just characters randomly walk in. It wasn't that bad. There's a scene where the two main characters are talking to each other, and the girl's like, "We need to break up," and she walks away. And then she falls back because she's like hooked to a chain, and the guy pulls her in, and he looks like Samuel Jackson's character from Black Snake Moan, and says like, "Hey, we having steak for dinner, and you're staying." And I'm like, for one thing, the target audience for a dance flick is not going to get a Black Snake Moan reference. And another reason, that's just going way out of the way to reference a movie. And this movie doesn't have a good story, like I explained. It doesn't spoof dance movies like the stories, like cleverly. It just really goes from one skit to another, desperate for laughs. And don't get me wrong, there are some pretty funny moments. There was some really funny stuff. Really, all you can say about this movie is if it was funny or not. Overall, this movie isn't very funny, you know? People that go and see these movies aren't interested in the story, so I don't really know why I brought it up, but it's a part of it. I would say that the actors do play the characters well. You know, it's supposed to be like over-the-top acting, and I thought some of that was really funny. But check out the credits. This is insane. Me and my friend counted at least like 10 Wayans in the credits. Yeah, the funniest stuff probably came from Shawn Wayans, and he was only in a few scenes. He like randomly came and go, and some of his stuff was pretty funny. But overall, there's some really funny stuff here and there, but you know, it's disappointing. I expected a better movie because the Wayans were involved in the first two Scary movies, and those both were pretty funny. Of course, my favorite like parodies are like Airplane and The Naked Gun. I love The Naked Gun. But all the Scary Movie films are a lot funnier than this, and they're just a great example on how this humor can work and how referencing these films works in the plot. In this film, you know, it's just a bunch of jokes crammed together, and most of them aren't very funny. That's really all it is. I don't know. It's not the crappiest thing ever. It's better than all the Friedberg and Seltzer movies, but that's not saying much. I would say, if you really like parody movies, I don't know, maybe like see it in a matinee or wait till rent it, because you might like it, because there is some good stuff here and there, but overall I've just seen a lot of the jokes before, and like I said, just a lot of them were just of things that I don't want to laugh at. There really wasn't a variety of humor either. They were all really either like ghetto jokes or black jokes. And that's it, you know, it's directed by the Wayans. But like in all the Scary movies, you know, they reference the films cleverly. In this movie, it wasn't really like they referenced the movies like you would need to see the movie to get it, like a parody should be. It was more like they're dressed in the clothing like the characters were doing. It's kind of like they were in the situation of the movie, but they didn't really do anything that involved the movie. Disappointing. I expected a pretty funny movie, and I got a few laughs, but I expected a more enjoyable film. Overall, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.